Hello and welcome back to Gapey's Garden. Today we're going to tour the garden of all the volunteers that we have growing. So this is the only in-ground bed, and we have lots of flower volunteers growing around the outside of the bed. We've got some California poppies and some borage there. We also have, let's see, where is it? There's some amaranth, red amaranth hiding way back in there. That's the red stuff there. I actually didn't grow amaranth in here last year, so I'm not really sure how it got there. Maybe from the compost, perhaps. And we have a Cosmo also hiding over here. And I think that's about it. Oh, we have some volunteer sunflowers too. So I didn't plant this one here. I think this is, I can't remember which variety it is, but I grew quite a few different varieties of sunflowers, so we've got that popping up there. We have another sunflower, but this one I actually did plant over here in the spring. And that's, I think, pretty much it for this bed. We've got some weeds. I think those are lamb's quarters growing in there. And I think that's it in this bed. And then here we have the greenhouse, which I really need to do another update on the peppers because they're just growing insane. I think the only volunteer I have in here is hiding way back in the corner down here. So that is a nasturtium, and it hasn't gotten very big because the peppers are pretty much overcrowding it, but it has gotten a few flowers back there hiding. And then we might also have some cilantro somewhere, or maybe I might have pulled it all. So I don't think we have any cilantro growing right now. But that's the only volunteer in the greenhouse this time. And then here in the onion and garlic bed we have one tomato plant, and this is clearly the Berry's Crazy cherry tomato, which is my favorite cherry tomato, so I was pretty happy to see this. It finally just started, I haven't picked any yet, but it just started getting some ripe fruit on it. The volunteers take a lot longer to ripen since they're started much later. So I'm happy to see I'll get some off of this plant. And I think that's the only volunteer I have in this bed. I just planted some cover crops here and some fall crops of beets and I think some onions. Oh, we have some starting to flower. So this is actually buckwheat. It's a pink variety of buckwheat. So I'll probably be chopping these down here before long because I don't want them to go to seed. And then here in the herb bed we've got several different sunflowers that popped up. We've got this one, this nice dark colored one here, and then some other regular yellow ones. So I think there's actually maybe 3 different sunflower plants that came up in here, and I just let those grow. And then we've also got a ton of borage. So borage reseeds very easily, so we've got borage all along here. We've got it over here, and then this whole back area here is all borage that I let just kind of grow. I did thin it out a little bit, but it's getting pretty close to done, so I'm gonna have to be ripping this out. But there's a few new flowers coming out, and this is probably the bees' favorite flower in the whole garden. So if you want something to attract bees, definitely grow borage. And we've also had chamomile in here, but I think the chamomile is all died back because I don't see any in here right now. But that's it for this corner. And then here in the raspberry patch we've got an unknown tomato volunteer here that's putting out some kind of large, not really cherry, but kind of a medium or a super large cherry maybe. But it's been fairly productive. I've actually picked quite a few, maybe, I don't know, a dozen or so tomatoes off of this plant, and it's got a lot more that are coming out here, and they're growing in clusters of about 7 tomatoes per cluster. So I'll have to go back and look and see what I grew last year because I don't remember growing anything like that. And then here under the Brayburn apple tree, which is going gangbusters this year, we have another tomato, and it actually looks like the exact same tomato variety that's in the raspberries. So again, it's getting some clusters of about the same size fruits as the other one, and I haven't harvested any off of here, but it looks like we're just starting to get some that are starting to change color there. And look at this, we've got some more tomatoes under the plum tree. And again, this looks like the exact same one as that's growing in the other areas. And this one, I think I've harvested a few off of these, but it's pretty much looks like the same variety. Now over here next to the chicken run, we've got a tomatillo plant. And I have no idea how this got here because I was very meticulous last year of not composting any of my tomatillos. I tossed all of them in the garbage because I know they reseed very easily. So I don't really know how this got over here, but here it is, and I just let it grow. It's a little bit farther away from my other tomatillos, so I'm not sure if it'll produce or not, but we'll see. And over in this bed by the carrots and the zucchini, we have another tomato. This one, it actually could be the same variety as the other ones, but it's not doing nearly as well as the other volunteers. It's only got, I think I might have harvested one so far, but it's really short and small. And then right behind it is actually the smallest tomato plant I've ever seen. So this thing is like maybe 4 inches tall, and it's got one single tomato on it that's looks like it's about ready to pick. So it looks like it could be a sun gold, or actually it could be the dwarf cherry tomato I grew last year. But this is definitely, I've never seen one that small produce a fruit. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Now over here next to the cucumber trellis, we have some what are they called? Cucamelon volunteers. So I didn't plant any cucamelons in this area, but a few plants actually popped up, and they're actually producing. But I do have cucamelons growing in the greenhouse, so I've been usually harvesting those. So I haven't actually harvested any off of this vine here, but I probably should, or maybe just take it out, because I have a ton of these things. And over here in the cherry tomato bed, we have a couple of the red amaranths, and I've already chopped some of these off because they're starting to seed. I don't know if you could see all those seeds that are coming off of it. So I've just been feeding these to the chickens because they love amaranth. I've got one here, and that might be the only one actually. And then I've got one tomato volunteer in the tomato bed, and it's this one here, and it's not the same as the other ones. So this is actually I think it's called Aladdin's. It's kind of like Aladdin's lamp, I guess, but it's kind of a interesting shaped, kind of a weird tomato. But I grew that last year, so I thought it was kind of neat that it came up over here. It's not getting very tall. It's only got a few tomatoes on it, but I have harvested a couple already. On the left side of the compost bins, we have this monstrosity. It's probably, I don't know, 9 feet tall, maybe more. This is the Jerusalem artichoke, and it's actually growing inside a cinder block here. So look at how thick that stem is. That's pretty crazy. There's 2 really big stems here and then one smaller one back there. So I'll be interested to see if it actually produces any tubers. But I can't believe how big that thing got. And then lastly, over by the compost bins, we have another sunflower that came up, and I haven't watered this at all, so I'm surprised how well it's doing for not having any water. It's got several heads on it. I'm not sure what variety it is. I think it's autumn something or other. I don't know. But that one is actually doing pretty good. And then on the end, I actually showed this in my last tomato video. We have another tomato plant that's growing along the side of the compost bins, and I've actually tied this up to the compost bin so it didn't fall all over the ground. So I've got a few areas where I put some ties to hold the stems up. But guess what? This looks like, again, the same exact variety as, I don't know, I've probably got 4 of this variety volunteering all over the yard. So yeah, I'll do some research and see if I could figure out what variety that is. But whatever it is, it sure volunteers very easily. And that's all the volunteers for this year, I think. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.